Members, I apologize. My voice is almost gone. I want to be brief with my remarks, and I know that other members would like to make remarks as well. And so, succinctly, let me tell you a couple of things that I think are important. The legislation contained in Senate Bill 1 has been discussed and debated by members of this body for 14 hours in a hearing during the first called session, for 8.5 hours in a hearing in the second called session, and 13 hours on the floor yesterday. That's 35 hours. That shows that this legislation is important to all of you, to your constituents, to stakeholders, to the state of Texas. I appreciate the input, and I'm going to leave you with one note. Representative Davis mentioned yesterday when she asked me some questions, she asked me about experiences. She asked about personal experiences. And that made me want to share something with you today. Ironically, today is Lyndon Johnson's birthday. My grandfather, who passed away before I was born in a log cabin. He made it through the 4th grade. He was a public servant, and he lost his only election to Lyndon Johnson by 83 votes in a ballot box in Jim Wells County. Now, my mother tells me a story when she was a little girl that my grandfather and her ran into Lyndon one day. Lyndon at that time was the majority leader in the United States Senate. Lyndon picked up that little girl, tossed her in the air, and my grandfather and Lyndon shook hands and talked about the weather. I believe that exudes strong character. I expect that even with differences in opinion in this body and with my colleagues, that all of us at the end of the day will also exhibit strong character. That while we may have differences of opinion and we may fervently defend the opinions of our constituents, we will shake hands and we will continue with the decorum and good life that we owe all Texans. So, Ms. Davis, I appreciate you making me reflect upon how meaningful a piece of legislation like this can be to each and every one of us. Because my life was impacted because of election integrity. And I jokingly like to say that my grandfather lost a race. He was widowed. He went back home to practice law in a small town, met my grandmother who was widowed from World War II. They got married and had my mother, and but for Lyndon Johnson, I would not be here. So happy birthday to Lyndon Johnson. Members, I appreciate the levity, but at the end of the day, I appreciate your strong character, our differences of opinion, and I look forward to shaking each and every one of your hands for spending the time to discuss this important issue. Mr. Speaker, I move passage.